School professor Alan Dershowitz, who many in the media said I'd never invite back on the show, which is totally untrue, and Fox News legal analyst Gregg Jarrett. Welcome back, both of you. Greg, I know you've been pouring through all of these memos.
Right.
What is remarkable, I think, is what Ed Henry picked up on. I'm not sneaky and I don't leak. Okay. Well, apparently he's sneaky and he leaks.
We know he's sneaky and he leaks, and so that puts a lie to that statement. The two things that jump out at me is that the president expresses that he's got this Russia cloud hanging over him. Can you look into it and clear it up and lift the cloud? Because Comey had told the president, he didn't find any wrongdoing on his part. And when the president says, please lift the cloud, Comey says, we're running it down. The other thing that strikes me is there is absolutely no evidence here of any obstruction of justice. This is recounted conversation exactly as his testimony. There's nothing else in there, no red flags, no smoking gun that would incriminate the president. And so as Trey Gowdy, who had seen this several months ago, said, it's the best Exhibit A defense of President Trump.
Mm-hmm. Let me go to Professor Dershowitz. And Professor, you're always welcome on the show, whether we agree or disagree. I have deep respect for you. And I know we disagree on a lot of the Hillary part of this, which I'll be glad to get into. But let's first go to the leak. That's a crime. If we're going to be technical, 18 U.S.C. 793, Gregg Jarrett, you've taught me a lot in the last year. Number one, when you couple this, nothing about Russia collusion, Rod Rosenstein's statement to the president that he's not a target in either case, the New York case or Mueller's case. Does that not put emphasis on the fact that there was no collusion whatsoever?
Well, collusion is not a crime. I have seen no evidence of collusion. Obstruction of justice can't be charged against a sitting president for exercising his authority under Article 2 of the Constitution. But if I were the president, I would be concerned about the Southern District of New York, which is probably why he brought Rudy Giuliani onto his team, who was the former U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York. Because, as I've told clients for 53 years, you can't have any confidence that your best friend, your brother, your sister-in-law won't flip if the government charges them with serious crimes. You can charge people with a series of technical crimes that could result in life imprisonment. The pressure is intense. And then the pressure is not only to sing, but to compose, because what happens is a witness knows that he'll get a better deal if he can elaborate, if he can make up stories, if he can tell the government what the government wants to hear. And that may not always be the truth. So I don't think that President Trump is out of the woods yet. I think he has to be concerned about the Southern District of New York. I don't think he ever had any real vulnerability from the special counsel's investigation of the Russia thing. But I'll tell you, all this stuff that's coming out now confirms what I've said from day one. There should have been a nonpartisan National Commission of Experts looking into the entire 2016 election, faults on all sides. What was the Russian effort? What did they do? What did each of the candidates do without recrimination, just to avoid a repetition of this in the future? When you start by looking for crimes, you don't end up getting the truth.
Devin Nunes warned everybody. It was public in an op-ed in the Washington Times that Russia was going to do this, number one. And if you remember, just a couple of weeks before the election, it was President Obama saying no serious person would ever believe that any foreign entity could ever have any impact on our elections, and lectured Donald Trump to stop whining.
Well,
that
first
is a
of all,
direct quote.
President Obama tried to have an impact on the election of Benjamin Netanyahu. I have absolutely no doubt that he and his administration tried to get Netanyahu unelected. And, the United States has tried to influence foreign elections, going back years and years to Central America and South America. So, of course, we should be concerned with the Russians trying to influence our elections. Now, what we did is nothing compared to what the Russians tried to do. Now, whether they succeeded or had any impact, I don't know. But I do think that this is a national problem that all Americans should be concerned with on a nonpartisan basis.
But this is something that the Russians have always done.
This is a nonpartisan comment. I'll throw this Mr. Gregg, that's why you can't take classified, top secret, special access programming information and, to avoid congressional oversight, put it on a mom-and-pop shop server that Comey even wrote in his original exoneration of Hillary Clinton that we believe probably Russia, foreign intel agencies got a hold of. Let me ask you about this criminal referral today about Andrew McCabe and the fact that Comey could be a witness against his own number two.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Comey who says McCabe's a liar. McCabe says Comey's a liar. Well, somebody's a liar, and maybe actually both of them are liars.
Or none of them.
Although, I must say that today, the Inspector General said that the lies were, quote, knowing and intentionally made, and they have evidence of that. That's very powerful language.
That is.
And so I would expect that McCabe would be charged maybe as many as 4 different charges for 4 different lies. And Comey may soon be sitting nearby in another courtroom facing his own charges. I count at least 6 potential criminal statutes that Comey may have violated.
And so you agree with Congressman DeSantis' letter. Did you agree with him on the law, Greg?
Yeah, absolutely. He nailed the law in exactly the same fashion that you and I have talked about for months, and we have put up on the screen all the different statutes. DeSantis and the other members of Congress cited the same statutes.
But I've talked about
Let me ask one question
too.
to Professor Dershowitz, because we're almost out of time.
Sure.
And this maybe is an area where we do disagree. And I urge you, I know that if I had subpoenaed my server and my emails and I deleted after subpoenaed 33,000, acid wash, clean the hard drive with bleach pit, and bust up devices with hammer, that to me shows full intent, which would fulfill the mandate that even Comey acknowledges as it relates to obstruction. But more importantly, I think you will agree with me, Professor, that if, as a civil libertarian, that when Hillary Clinton pays for a dossier through literally a foreign agent that they hire through Perkins Coie and funnel the money, Fusion GPS, the FBI and the DOJ, nobody verified the information, corroborated it. It's presented to a FISA court. They don't tell the FISA court judge that an opposition party candidate gave it to them. That is we lose our country, in my view, Professor, if that happens again. It is that dangerous.
Look, I agree. I think failing to give the FISA court all the negative information so it could evaluate the credibility and lack of credibility of that request for a warrant was a serious, serious flaw. My problem was when you list all these statutes, you make my point, and that is under our federal criminal law, almost anybody can be charged with anything if you look hard enough. On the area of perjury, remember Scooter Libby. I believe he told the truth. Somebody else told a different truth. And so they prosecuted him for perjury. I think that happens more often than anybody thinks. And you have to be very worried about expanding the criminal law and targeting people based on this accordion-like criminal law that every civil libertarian should be concerned about.
Well said, Professor. And by the way, you're always welcome, even if you want to yell at me. Great point.
I will when I think you deserve it.
Oh, I know. Oh, I'm very well aware.